Good morning. This is Steve Lentini, and ordinarily I would be broadcasting on Monday. And Monday I'll be traveling to Atlantic City and to Trenton, working for clients in New Jersey, 2 different clients. And then next week I will be going to the IBM Vision. I've been selected. I'm honored to have been selected by Watson Analytics as an innovator. And so they've invited me, all expenses paid, to Orlando to IBM Vision 2016. You can Google it for information. And it's about analytics and the future of analytics and big data and how to use that in sales compensation, sales management, all those things. Also, there's financial aspects of Watson Analytics, and there's a governance part of it. So check out Vision 2016. Register if you're interested in big data and analytics. And again, it's for larger companies getting control of their analytics. And you know what? Small and medium-sized family businesses should be looking at it as well for the future. The only thing you can manage is something you measure. So if you don't measure things, you can't manage it. And what you want to do is give friendly information to your employees to help guide them. So it's not like you use the information the old days, the old way, where you're what I call you're whipping the ox. What you want to do is how do you motivate an ox? So you can't whip the ox, you have to help push the cart. And that's really what leadership needs to be doing today. So the servant model of leadership, maybe there's a way to tweak that in some leaders' minds. They don't want to be a servant. The way to tweak that is, can you do all the work if they leave tomorrow? No. You can't. And so depending on how many employees you have, 20, 30, 50, even if you have 10, if they all leave tomorrow, you can't do the work. You've got to do something to scramble, to replace them. So instead, instead of beating the ox, you should be helping to push the cart. That's the analogy that I use. And so it doesn't mean that you've got the full load, but you're helping everyone get to where you want to go. You lay out a clear vision, clear goals, and expectations for each of their jobs, then help them do their jobs. Help them win, right? So help them win. Push the cart, don't beat the ox. And so that leads me to today's discussion. And first, before I get into it, the power of our spoken word, right? The power of our spoken word. I want to show you that this is my book just recently out, Sales Success for the Rookie, How to Succeed at Sales Right from the Start. It's a great read. In fact, I'm writing with salespeople this week to show them the method of calling on people, not to sell, but to help them buy. That's what this book is about. How to make it comfortable, how to make cold calling comfortable, and in a whole different way. And to be human, and not to feel like you have to be this superstar, silk-tongued salesperson, got it all together. Those days are gone. Actually, people don't trust those kind of people. They don't trust those kind of people. The backslapper, the bagel bringer, it's like, what are they doing? Why are they trying to ingratiate themselves? People want to know what's your value and how can you help them with their challenges and add value to their business. That's what you need to be doing today. So here's my book. It's on Amazon, Sales Success for the Rookie. You can download it into your Kindle. You can buy the hard copy like I have here, and go to Amazon and get a copy of the book. The other book that came out in January, so I've got 2 books that came out this year. I'm a contributing author. My chapter starts on page 222, but start at the beginning. There's a lot of great authors and great ideas in here. It's 30 days. Imagine 30 days to a new you, and there's each chapter is written by someone different with an idea about how you could improve your business, improve your life, improve your thinking. And so I highly recommend it. Again, on Amazon, Imagine 30 Days to a New You. It's published by my publisher, Motivational Press, and Justin Sachs. Great company. If you want to publish a book, it's a great company. They did everything they said they would do for me and more. And they've got great people working at Motivational Press, helping Motivational Press. Justin selected some great people that do great work. You can trust them. Thank you very much. Okay, so today, the power of the spoken word. I coach a lot of business owners and salespeople, and whenever they run into a block, whether their sales are flat or they're wondering why certain people that work for them are flat, it has to do with leadership It has to do with how leadership speaks to the people that work for them, right? The power of your spoken word. It has to do with the leadership's thinking, right? What they think about is what comes about, and then what they speak about. And then it trickles down so that the employees learn from leadership how to deal with obstacles, how to deal with challenges. When there's problems, how do they react? If leadership reacts in a negative way, how do you expect employees to be positive? It's not going to happen. And the power of the spoken word, a negative reaction reverberates like throwing a rock onto a still pond, right? You throw a rock onto a still pond, the rings go out and out and out and out and out and out and out. That's what your power of your spoken word does. And it begins with your thinking. So if you have a lot of negative thinking, then that thinking will translate into words if you don't discipline it and notice it. And so if your reaction to outside stimuli is a negative reaction, then you'll speak about it in a negative way, and that continues the ripples. So Helen Wilmans wrote about the power of our spoken word. This woman was writing in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Charles Haanel wrote about it in the Master Key System. James Allen wrote about it. Henry David Thoreau wrote about it. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote about it. What we put out, we get back. If you read his law on compensation, you're always getting what's justly deserved. So if it isn't working, if something's not working in your business, and it could be working, but you have to always check in on where are you pointing the business to with your thoughts, words, and actions? Where are you pointing your employees to with your example? Because your example is an energy that you put out into the world, like your spoken word. So if you're negative, if you react to stimuli, angry and frustrated, and the only thing you can control to any event, in any event that happens, an outside circumstance, is your reaction. Listen, if a tornado, God forbid, came through and blew this apartment building down, blew my farmhouse down, blew the barn down, the only thing I could do would be rebuild. I'd be glad and thankful if everyone was safe, of course, right? I'd be glad and thankful. I'd be grateful. And the energy I'd be putting out would be, okay, let's get started. Who do we talk to about rebuilding? That's all I could do. I wouldn't get upset and angry. If an employee makes a mistake, somebody that works for me makes a mistake, I want to know, how do we prevent it? What did we learn from it? And guess what? If people aren't making mistakes, I want people to make mistakes. Because if they're making mistakes, they're doing something. They're doing something. If you've never made a mistake, if you live in a world afraid to make a mistake, or you want your employees to be perfect, and every time there's a mistake, you go into a reaction mode, you're going to create a world of you're going to create this big cocoon around risk. People won't want to take risk. It'll be like sleeping. It'll be like the caterpillar going into cocoon. You can put any kind of risk in that cocoon, and your business will not grow because people will be afraid to be around you by taking a risk or even suggesting something new that sounds a little uncomfortable. People won't want to suggest it. They won't want to take the risk because they're afraid of your reaction. And who's taught them that? You have. So it's very important for leaders to really discipline their thinking and their spoken word. And most people live believing their thoughts. They want to own their reactions. They want to say, hey, that's not me. I'm not like that. I don't like people like this. I don't like people like that. Let's suppose you're a gossip and you talk about people. Let's say you talk about your employees. What are they learning? They're learning when they're around you that when they're not around, you talk about them. That's what they're learning from you. You're teaching them that. But see, most people believe their thinking, and they believe they're entitled to believe their thinking. Hey, this is what goes on in my mind. These are my thoughts. No. Who's the thinker of the thought? The thinker of the thought can control the thought and decide which thought to buy into. And when you give something power, you give it by speaking it. So the place to begin the discipline is in here. And don't let negative words come out of your mouth, because the power of the spoken word begins the journey of making things manifest in this existence. Whether you believe in God or call it the universe, the divine, or just you are a cause and effect person, all physical. What you put out in this world, you're getting back. You're the creator. life is best lived from the inside out. I say that all the time. I've said it for years. Life is best lived from the inside out. And you don't have to go searching for whatever it is you call it that has life power. It's in you. You have life power. The master is within. Life is the teacher. You're always getting feedback from what you put out. And if it isn't working, you created it. No one else did. Werner Erhard used to say, I accuse you of being a circumstance in your life. I'm not a circumstance in my life. It's confronting sometimes to look at what I've created, and it's challenging and exciting because I created everything. I created the stuff that didn't work, either as a reaction, a negative reaction to something that happened that was outside of my control, or by continually speaking things and thinking things that were negative that took the power away from me, my own power. I have power to create my world. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. I've met salespeople in particular and business owners who are lamenting when things aren't working. Oh, we can't find good employees. Sales are tough. Everybody's giving stuff away. By the way, if you're thinking I'm talking about you in your business, or maybe if I've consulted or coached you, it's not just you. You're not the only one. Should we have a 12-step meeting here? If everyone got in front of the room, every business owner got in front of the room, every salesperson got in front of the room and said, hi, I have negative thoughts. I want to confess I have negative thoughts. Everybody'd go, yeah, thank you for sharing that, because we all do. We all do. You're not alone in your thinking. It's questioning your thinking that is so important. There's a great book that's been out for a long time. I started teaching this stuff 20 years ago. 1996, 97, 98, I started studying about it when I discovered George Ivanovich Gurdjieff. He said that most men are in a bourgeoisie sleeping man state. And of course, men in the meaning back then when he wrote it in the late 1800s was men and women. So most men and women are in a bourgeoisie sleeping man state. Let me correct it because it's a new day and a new age. So most men and women are in a bourgeoisie sleeping man state, and it takes a force of will to wake oneself up in one's lifetime. I have another book that you can go on my website and buy, Wake Up, Jump Into Your Life. It's $49.95. It's a workbook. It includes an hour worth of coaching with me. So you'd call me after you bought the book, and I would begin to coach you on the journey to waking up, to discovering your power to create a life. I charge $49.95 for a book because it includes an hour's worth of my coaching, which is it's immeasurable. I mean, I have had people change their lives, change their income, double, triple, quadruple. But not just that. It's not about money and material things. It's about understanding your power to create a life and taking responsibility for your life and changing how you think and then how you speak. And a new world forms. And when you discover your power, you're awake. Not when you say you're awake. No. Because when you say you're awake, you're probably asleep. You're asleep to your power. And waking up to your power is a journey, because I fall back asleep to the victim thinking that lives in our minds. It's amazing that it lives in our minds. I often say I've seen the enemy behind the enemy lines. I've seen the opponent behind the enemy lines. I picture it behind a stone wall, throwing rocks or firing at me. And I recognize it. It's me. It's me. And so I'm the thinker of the thought. I can say, thank you very much. You're dismissed. You troops have to retreat. You're going home. You're going home. And I close that window and I brick it up. I do whatever it takes in my mind to shut that down because I'm the thinker of the thought. Then I think about what it is I want to come out of here, because spoken word has power, the power of the spoken word. Do some research on it. Google it, the power of the spoken word. Look at the different people that have written about it throughout the ages. If you want to study some of the ancient philosophies, study Kabbalah. 4,500 years ago, Kabbalists were talking about cause and effect, that we were the creator of our existence, and that there were tools to discipline one's thinking to change one's life. All right, so I'm not going to go into the whole thing about the Kabbalah, but you can fast forward to Napoleon Hill. You can fast forward to Ernest Holmes, Mary Baker Eddy, Charles Hennell, Elizabeth Seton, Helen Wilmans, Florence Scovel Shinn, Catherine Ponder, the Fillmores, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. So there's James Allen, Ralph Waldo Emerson. There's just, and now you may go to some of the modern people, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, talking about the power that we have to influence. Deepak Chopra, I love the way he does it, because he talks about how we have influence over all the atoms and even the things that appear and disappear in these new experiments with the super collider. They appear and disappear, and they're finding, physicists are finding, it's the observer of the experiment that's impacting these molecules, right? And these new particles that are, quarks and the Higgs boson particle. Do some research. A great book is The Elegant Universe, written very well by a physicist. I can't think of his name, Brian something or other, Brian Greene. Fantastic book. And he's written a number of books that are great for supporting, if you want to do research for us to convince your mind that you have power, take a look at what physicists are saying about how things are really made manifest. We're hurtling through space, unless you don't believe that. We're hurtling through space. Some people don't. We're hurtling through space at whatever. Don't hold me to this. I'm not a scientist. 65,000 miles an hour on a garden planet, in the midst of blackness, in the midst of a void, of vacuum, no air, right? We have to bring our environment with us to survive in space. We have to in a spaceship or a space, to create oxygen so that we can live. Yet everything in the midst of that is right here for life. If you're not in awe of that and amazed by it, then you're living a lack of gratitude. And it's having gratitude and living in awe of the moment, knowing this moment is all we have, this moment right here, right? This is all we have. When you know that this is all you have, you embrace it differently, because there literally is no past, there is no future, there's only now. We have the past in our mind because we have an ego mind, right? The brain, and we have memory cells. So the brain keeps bringing us back to the past, but you don't have to live there. There's nothing in the past but you. Nothing in the past but you. Charles C. Mack wrote, Time is the Simplest Thing. It's a great book. It's a novel. It's not true, but he wrote that there's no one in the past but you. And there's the future. There's no one in the future. It hasn't been created yet. There's nothing in the future. You have the opportunity to create your future by doing something great and living your passion, right? Whatever you have a passion for. And then on top of that, whatever comes into your life, embrace it, love it, because you created it. If you don't embrace it, then you'll react negatively to it. You'll be bitter. You'll have a lack of gratitude. That will further cascade you down the negative thoughts, because your brain will go, see, I told you you don't have power, that you're a victim, that look at all this stuff that's happening. You didn't create that. That's what your brain will do. Then if you don't discipline it, who's going to discipline it? If you don't discipline your thinking, who is going to? No one. You're the thinker of the thought. So Dr. Rao, Srikumar Rao, Dr. Rao, R-A-O, wrote, Are You Ready to Succeed? I dispute, I think I was teaching it maybe before Dr. Rao, naturally, but it's not mine, it's not his. It's not. It's the universal message. It was out there 4,500 years ago in the Kabbalists. Fast forward, it was modern day philosophers, Socrates, Plato, even Caesar. Some of the great leaders understood how it worked. That's how they became leaders. They understood that they had power, energy, that they were putting out the energy that eventually came back. Cause and effect. I keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing it. When's the sound going to change? I'm expecting something new. It's not going to change, right? That's the definition of insanity. I love to do that because it's a great demonstration of what Einstein said. Keep doing what you're doing and expecting something different, the definition of insanity. But when I change things up, when I change things up, something new occurs. It has to. It has to. It has to. So when I start to notice my thinking, that's the first change, because most people believe they're thinking, and they fight it too. They'll tell you how entitled they are. Oh no, I don't like people like that. Where did that come from? You can like anybody you want. You can like any job you want. You can like your boss tomorrow. You can just silently put out the energy. I'm embracing this job. I created this to learn and grow. Or this has been part of my life so that I could learn how to react differently. So until you react differently to the boss, he could be there or she could be there, so that you finally learn how to start reacting differently. Reacting. So when you react, you're reacting something from the past. It's not this boss that you're upset with. It's something from the past, something and someone. Maybe as a child, someone like that really upset you. And now you're still acting like a child. You're reacting something from the past. To have a new future, you have to become proactive. Proactive, something new. Take it in for a minute. Breathe. This is how you stay in the moment. You come back into your body, you breathe. Does anyone notice you're breathing if you're in a meeting and you get a little nervous? No, I hope not, because they're breathing, right? They're breathing, you breathe, you come back into your body, and then spend a minute in silence. You don't have to answer every question right away. You know, that's a good question. Give me a second. I want to take that in. Here's how it makes me feel. Here's what comes up for me, right? And then you say what comes up for you. So as you begin thinking, noticing your thoughts, realizing you're the creator of your thought, you notice your thinking first and journal about it, write about it. If you're not a writer, if you don't like to write, take that thought on, right? Change that thought. There's no such thing as I'm not this or I'm not that. That's not true. It's BS. You can do anything you put your mind to. So fight that thought that I'm not a writer. I'm not going to journal. You write something. Get a pad. Write. I notice my brain tends to, when I wake up in the morning, I'm negative, I'm bitter, I have to fight it. Whatever it is, whatever your pattern is, first you have to discover it. And when you discover one pattern, by the way, it's like peeling an egg, it's like peeling an onion. There's layers, right? There's layers. The egg is a hard shell, then it has a little membrane, then it has the white egg, right? The white part of the egg if you're hard-boiled egg. Then there's the center. Okay, same with an onion. You keep peeling back layers. That's what waking up will do for you if you begin the journey of noticing your thinking. So then you notice your thinking. You could start every morning by doing, Julie Cameron wrote about stream of consciousness writing. The Morning Pages, she called it. Great book. The Morning Pages. Just Google Julie Cameron if you want to read a good book about journaling. She said she'd write 3 minutes, suggest writing 3 minutes, stream of consciousness, just what comes to your mind, don't judge it. Then when you notice that maybe you're in a bad mood, it's good to notice, by the way, right? Because then you could change your mood. Hey, I'm gonna work to bring joy to everyone I meet today. I wonder who I'll meet. I wonder who the universe is going to bring across my door. What lessons are there in store for me today? If it's not the universe for you, you could say, what am I creating today? What am I here to learn today? But if you don't notice that you're an angry SOB sometimes, then you won't change it. And you have to confess it. So what? Everybody's angry some days. So what? Everybody's not that grateful some days. Some days. And someone that tells you they got it mastered, they're always grateful. No. They might meditate so that they can overcome some of their human tendencies. Like we're judging. When you're judging, you're in the past or you're in the future. You're more than someone or less than someone. None of it's true. We are all the same. I had a near-death experience on November 18th, 2002. I can tell you nothing from this world goes into the next. So what I learned was the only thing mentioned were the lives I had touched. There was a life review. The lives I had touched was the only thing mentioned, which makes sense to me. That's what you can hang on to here. That's what you take with you. The lives you've touched, where you've made a difference in someone's life. That's our job. Make a difference in someone's life. Could be your own today by changing your thinking, changing the way you react to things instead of living in this, I can't do that, I can't do this person does that, this person's no good, that one. If you're surrounded by people that all they do is talk about negative and they talk about others, guess what? They're showing you. You got to get out of that. They're showing you. You were negative. You were limited. You're surrounded by people who all they say is, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can never do this, I don't know anyone, I could never make sales, I'm stuck in traffic all day long, I hate it, I don't like it. That is showing you a part of you that you have. You have to get out of it. Or change the people around you. Talk to them about it. Be real. Say, hey, that's not true. You got to get out of that thinking. You have power. But if not, eventually you have to get away from people like that. You have to get away from people like that. You have to keep yourself surrounded with the positive and people that believe in the infinite and that anything's possible. We live in something limitless, and we call it limitless so that we can define it in our mind. The brain has to have some definition of everything, right? It's like this acorn that I have. This is an acorn. It doesn't know it could be an oak tree, right? You and I know it could be an oak tree. You and I know it could be an oak tree. Because we know, we've seen its potential. We've seen its potential. A lot has to happen for this to become an oak tree. Same with you. Same with all humans. We're all little acorns. We're all little acorns. And we can all go beyond where we see the horizon is flat, right? From somewhere, it didn't end with Columbus. From somewhere in our lives, we all see the horizon is flat. We're a little acorn. We have to be crushed and broken open and put in the dark, in the dirt, in the ethers, and nurtured and protected. And then we might become an oak tree. Well, you, though, have to push beyond what you believe are limits. There are no such thing as limits for humans. Your brain will tell you, the minute you start thinking that I'm limitless and I'm creating my world, your brain will go, no, sir, not you. You've got limits. And it'll then remind you of every failure you've had. And you have to push beyond that. That's why the book by Dr. Rao, Are You Ready to Succeed, is a great book, because it's a simple guide to teaching you how to push beyond. And he talks about the universal laws of increase, for example. What you focus on increases. And he goes on in more detail than that. I just gave it 4 seconds. I'm watching the timer. What you focus on increases. And so if you're talking about all your limits, all the stuff you can't do, if you're surrounded by people who talk about limits, gossip, talk about each other, all those things are limiting energy. They're negative energy. They suck the energy out of you. You have to get beyond that. You have to get beyond that. You have to move to be around like-minded people, people that believe in no limits, and they don't want to hear limits. All they want to know is, okay, here's the problem. We've identified it. Now, what's the solution? Let's spend the rest of our time on solutions, not on problems and challenges. We can overcome anything, right? Imagine Columbus convincing everybody, get on my ship, let's go, we won't go over the edge. No one knew for sure the world was round. That's the same thinking that's trapping you, that's trapping anyone. I don't care where you are, you can go to another level. Unless you've decided, well, now I'm going to retire. I hear people talking about retiring all the time. Retiring is just changing. To retire. I'm always going to be doing something that I love, which is, one thing is encouraging people to wake up to their power. Wake up to the power. They have to create a life. It doesn't, not about money or being a billionaire or a millionaire. Hey, by the way, all those are good things, because you can share your money, right? You can help others. You can find a good cause. You could look at someone who's working hard, that's struggling a little bit. Maybe you help them. Maybe you invest in a business with them. Or you hire them. But because you have money, you can do things, right? So don't make money such a bad thing. Money's wonderful. Money's wonderful. Large, happy financial surprises come to me all the time. I'm grateful. You could ask my friends. They know. Large, happy financial surprises come to me all the time. I last year left a job that paid very well because it wasn't a fit. It was time to move on. And they were wonderful people to work for and work with, but it was time to move on. So I left. I said to the owners of the company, hey, guys, if I started in June or July saying to guys, if I were the consultant here, which I had been sometimes, I wouldn't pay me the kind of money you're paying me to do the work that's remaining. A lot of work had been accomplished. They had people that hadn't achieved goals for 6-7 years, were flat for a long time, and they hadn't really gotten their arms around it. And so I helped them get their arms around it, and changes occurred. A lot of changes occurred in the business, and it had to do with the power of one's thinking. I'm not taking full credit for it, but I can tell you, wherever I go, a lot of things happen. A lot of things occur. So because I have limitless thinking, I do not believe in limits, and I'm not going to be surrounded by limits. And so I made a lot of changes in my life to make sure that I keep moving beyond what's limited. And so sometimes we have to do that, and there's pain associated with it. And it's good for everyone involved, by the way. Even the people left behind, they learn from it because they learn, they grow. And if they're not going to learn, that's part of the lesson, is for them to look at what happened, what transpired in their life. Some get it, some don't, and it'll keep occurring. What'll happen is they'll keep thinking they're victims until they get that they're not, that they're creating their life. That's how what you resist persists. So get the lesson that you're creating your world, whether you believe it or not, number one. Number two, start to think about, notice your thinking, and journal those thoughts that are keeping you stuck. Listen to what you say and listen to what others say, and you'll see that what I'm telling you is true. You'll hear other people describe their lives in a limited fashion, and you'll see, wow, that really lines up. Their life is limited. And so it's important that if you're going to change, you start to notice your thinking, journal about your thinking. Now, listen to what you say and others say so that you can get the power of your spoken word. That's what this is about. It's a process. It isn't just about what you're saying. It's first about noticing what you're saying and then doing something about it. And breathing and being present in the moment, noticing how you're feeling. Find a way to say what you're feeling, and that means you're living in the moment, because the moment is all there is. I was here 1 second, gone the next, November 18th, 2002. And I can tell you that out of the body, there was consciousness. That's where I was, in pure consciousness. And it taught me, because there was no past. I had no thoughts of this existence, sad to say. No thoughts of the future. I had no choice. I was only in the present. I tell people, very hard to describe it in words, my experience, but that it was the present on steroids. There was nothing, no past, no present. No future. I had no choice but to be in the present. That's all there was. I was in the present, pure consciousness. So when I surrendered to the moment, I was right back in the hospital room. When I surrendered, I was asked, stay or go, by consciousness, stay or go. And I said, thy will be done, in the moment, thy will be done. And there I was, back in the hospital room for another 95 days. That's another story. And what I learned was that surrender to the moment is really key if we're going to understand our power to create the future, because most people resist what shows up and they get angry and they're mad. It's already here. It's already here. You're sitting in traffic and you're mad about traffic because you're sitting in traffic. It's already here. Get over it. Get over it. Get over yourself. Start to be in the moment instead of resisting it. Eckhart Tolle, in his book, The Power of Now, and in many of his seminars and his teachings, his workbooks and subsequent writings, he talked about some people think reality is nuts, meaning it's here, but they rail against it. But it's here. It's here already. Hello, that's nuts. Just accept it. Breathe. You might say, hey, this is making me frustrated and angry, and I'm breathing, and I'm going to get over it. I'm going to move beyond it. You could say, hey, I see that you're upset. That could be your response to someone who gets angry. I see that you're upset. Are you upset with me? Okay. What happened? What did I do? What can I do better? How can I improve? How can we get over this? What will fix it? You just be in the moment and go with the flow. And that's a journey, and it's a lot of learning. If you go to my website, steve@stevelentini.com, Steve, that's my email. You go to stevelentini.com, STEVELENTINI, or you can go to the Prosperity Institute, www.prosperity, PROSPER, prosper behind me, ERITY, PROSPERITY, institute.com, prosperityinstitute.com. Both sites have my books. You buy my book, Wake Up, Jump Into Your Life, for $49.95, and you call me or you email me, Steve@SteveLentini or SL@Prosperity Institute, or you call me 917. I'll give you time. Get a pen. 805-1088. 917-805-1088. Or Steve@SteveLentini.com. STEVE@STEVE. L as in Linda, ENT as in Tom, INI.com. Or S as in Sam, L as in Linda, @ProsperityInstitute.com. So I have a lot of ways that you can get me. I have even more emails. Okay, so Wake Up, Jump Into Your Life. Next time, I promise to have a copy of it here. I'd have to get up and go get it. All right, I'll get up and go get it. Let me take the microphone off. I'll show you the book. It's a great book. It'll help you. Hold on. It'll help you understand your power to manifest in life. Look at that. Somebody's calling already. Wow. Somebody's calling already. All right, wake up, jump into your life. You put the microphone back on. Let's hang up on that. They'll call back if it's really important. It sounded like telemarketing. All right, so wake up, jump into your life. How long did that take me? A minute? Did you get over yourself complaining? Did you notice yourself complaining? I can't believe he's going to get the book. He's leaving the screen. Get over that kind of thinking. Be in the moment. If you didn't want to wait, then you could have just disconnected from the webinar. All right, wake up, jump into your life. And what I talk about in it is, what is the wake that you're leaving behind? What do your thoughts, words, and actions say to others? And here's a wake behind a boat, right? On the back cover is another wake. What are your thoughts, words, and actions saying to others about you? What is the wake that you're leaving behind? So you have to have some consciousness about what you're creating. First, you have to begin to notice your thinking, because there's default patterns in all of our thinking. In my thinking today, there'll be a judgment. My mind will want to enroll me in something negative. And if I buy into it, then it's negative. It's my choice. But I have the power. I don't have to buy into it. Then I can deny the thought by not ever speaking about it. Never let it cross these lips. And I only speak about what it is I want to manifest and point myself in the direction of where I'm going. Where I'm going. And I'm grateful. That's the other thing, is to have gratitude for the moment. This is all there is. So, anyway, in place of my Monday seminar, this is it. You can go to webinar Jam, and they're now free. All my seminars are free online, and you can register. That way it'll remind you. You'll get some email reminders. Or you can just go to YouTube, my Steve Lentini channel. Just Google Steve Lentini YouTube. My channel comes up, and you can see any of my webinars. Okay, I'm grateful. Thank you for attending, and I'll see you next week on Sunday, because next week I'm flying out next week. So on the 8th, I'll do a webinar because on the 9th, I'm flying to Orlando. I'm flying to Vision, IBM Vision 2016 because, again, Watson Analytics selected me as an innovator, identified me as an innovator, and it's all expenses paid. They're bringing me there as their guest. I'm a VIP. Listen, I'm not trying to say that to make myself any better than anyone or less than anyone. I'm just acknowledging myself for it and letting you know because I'm honored that IBM selected me. All right. Thank you again. Talk to you next week.